Welcome back to the DNX show, and today we're going to be talking all about the RedBud National, man. All right, Doc, did we finally see Jett's like true speed? Because I think we might have just a little bit.
Like little bits of speed. The pass on J Coop, I feel like was him just uncorking it, which incredible pass, by the way. I mean, good Lord. And then it felt like he was really pushing. And then when he got into a position where it was like he knew he could catch them, it seemed like he backed it down a little bit and stopped like sending it. I still don't think we've seen more than like half a lap at a time full send Jett. I really don't think we have, which is terrifying for everybody else.
That is very, very terrifying because when he was, it felt to me, just like the camera maybe was doing it injustice, because it felt to me that he was ripping through these guys so quick that we finally saw like that true raw speed that we've always been wanting to see. Because as you mentioned, he normally rides at 75-80%, and he can just manage races. I mean, he'll have that 95 on a lap to get into first, and then he'll just back it down, right? I think he was more at 90-95 for multiple laps in a row. And then when, like you said, when he got into a pace, maybe third place behind Prado, behind J Coop, he's like, all right, I see those guys. I'm going to tone it back. I have 20 minutes left, basically, and I'm going to catch them. And I'm looking at the lap times here, and he was first, basically, first and second. Shout out to Chase on this because he was first multiple times during the lap drop. But Jett was first, third lap, first, fourth lap, first to sixth lap, eighth lap, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. He was running the best laps out of everybody. And like I said, I think we saw a glimpse of his true raw speed for a little bit.
Yeah, I think we saw it in sections, right? Like he would put together a few sections at 100% and then back it down and then put together. Like when he needed to make the pass, he was like full send and then didn't need to do it anymore. And like it just shows his discipline. But yeah, to your point, like how fast he would make passes really seemed like his bike was like a 650 or something, like he was just blowing past people around the outside. And I mean, it's just like his roll speed and momentum through the corners, just he's entering a straightaway with like 2 or 3 miles per hour higher already. And then just, I don't know, it's crazy.
I wonder if that's the thing. Like, I wonder if his line choice was just 10 times better than everybody else. And I felt to me that he was taking a lot of the outsides, like trying to get by people. Like I remember the sand section before the finish, he was taking outsides. Obviously the leap and like that whole section beforehand too. Like he was ripping inside, pushing and getting past guys around the bank right before like the leap area outside, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think his line choice maybe played a huge factor in showing that speed where everybody else was trying to just go through the shortest route where he was taking the smoothest routes, basically.
Yeah, as a like avid non-Jett Glazer, that was an incredible, like really, really well done. I saw some people say like, oh, it wasn't 40th to first or whatever, which it wasn't like Chase's ride, but I think it was just as impressive in different ways. Like he passed people so fast, like they were not even on the track. And yeah, I don't know. I think Chase, when Chase did his 40 at the first, like he really wore the field down and took the whole moto and just out fitnessed everybody. Jett very much outpaced everyone in. It was, I don't know. It was great. It was crazy.
And I think you can say both are respectively like impressive in themselves, right? I saw a lot of people in the comment section, especially on my videos, saying like, yeah, but it wasn't 48th at first. But guys, it was still freaking impressive to go down right before the finish. You did a whole entire lap. You had to go back from 18th. He got into first, bro. And I think he was like 10 minutes left, 7 minutes left in the race, and then he put a gap on everybody by 10. I know Chase crashed, right? But like still, and we'll get into that here in a little bit, but I think both are very, very impressive, and I think you got to give give him props for that ride, man. Like, when was the last time we saw Jett have an adversity like moto? Like the only time I can think about is High Point, 2023, right? Where he goes down and he has to pass Ken Roxon and Garrett Marchbanks because he was already in the lead. right? And then he goes down, and then he has to go back. But this was, in my opinion, 10 times better than that moto.
Yeah. No, it was very super impressive. And yeah, he did it fast, like you said. It wasn't like he had to chase Jay Coop down all the way to the last two lap board. Nah, he got up there quick and passed everyone. Like they're just going backwards. I just keep saying that, but that's what it looked like.
So he did 16 total laps. He got into first place in lap 11. So if lap times are roughly, what was the lap times? It was 208s, 207s. So I mean, he had he had 5 laps, so 10 minutes. He was in first, and he was 18th on lap 1. I mean, it took him 11 laps to get into first. I mean, to be fair, you just have to give Jett his props for that ride. Just like you have to give Chase his props for the 40th the first. Like, it was super impressive for both.
Sucks for Jay Coop, though, because he was actually ripping, too, is the thing. Like, Jay Coop was riding so good. And I think, like, Jay Coop did a really good job of making it 11 laps. You know, and I think, like, Jett had to try to get up to Jay Coop. It wasn't like all of a sudden he was just in the lead and got around the leader. Like, I think Jett was really pushing, and I think that's why his pass on Jay Coop was so aggressive, was because Jay Coop was riding so well that he really needed to get it done now, right? Like couldn't wait around too long.
Yeah, because I think if Jay Coop found his groove and Jett took too long, Jay Coop wouldn't have got burnt out, because he kind of faded. And I think that was because he was pushing so hard to stay in first ahead of Jett. And so if Jett couldn't get up there quick enough, Jay Coop would have lasted, I would say, maybe to the end of the moto, right? But yeah, props to Prado too for leading for a while.
He was ripping. Yeah.
That was awesome to see. Yeah, he faded a lot, but he was still in the lead, and like it was still very impressive to watch that. It kind of sucks that he dropped back 28 seconds. Like, that was kind of crazy in 5-6 laps, but
I do think for Prado, though, like, you have to look at it as a win, you know, in the day. Like again, did great at Southwick. I mean, I know he doesn't think he did great, but huge improvements at Southwick. I think this surprised me. I really didn't think he was going to do that good at all. Like, running that pace, being out front, having a gap. I think if I'm Prado, I have to take that away as like, okay, cool, we're going the right direction. Sure, I faded like crazy. Maybe it was the bike. Maybe I feel like it probably wasn't his fitness, but like, I still think it's a good win for him on the weekend.
And that's the thing with Prado. He's been saying it's the bike, right? It's been the bike. It's been the bike. It's been the bike. But if you're riding that pace for 10, how many laps was it? It was, he was leading till lap 6, right? So lap 7, he got passed by Jay Coop. If you're leading that pace for 7 laps, I don't think it's the bike. Like, it could be a bike to a degree. Don't get me wrong. When he's trying to push too much, the bike gets out of sorts, right? I think they made huge progress on it. And I think maybe it's just his confidence within the bike, not doing what he's able to do, like, push-wise, you know what I'm saying? And then he gets frustrated, and then he freaking loses his momentum, and then he just takes the wrong line choices, and then he fades, right? So I think they made, like you said, huge improvements from freaking High Point, Southwick, and then now. And I'm only seeing that that's going to get better every weekend going forward, in my opinion.
Like I said, I was doubting a little bit Prado going into this round. Like, okay, it was sand. How is he going to do on dirt? But after that performance, I mean, I feel like you have to assume that he's just going to get better, and like he's making strides in the right direction.
Yeah, I think this position that he finished, he went 7-5. I think that's going to be realistic for the rest of the year, right? It's going to be right there, 4-5-7 or 4-5-6, right? I don't necessarily see him beating Chase, Hunter, Jett. When Tomac gets on, we'll talk about Tomac here in a bit, but like, I don't see him beating those guys just yet, right? But I can still see him getting 4-5-6, like with a 7 or a, what do you say, 6-4, you know, something like those moto scores. But overall, I think Prado did great. I think Jett was amazing. Chase was awesome. We'll get into Chase here in my surprise, but let's talk about the 250s here real quick. And my biggest takeaway was I didn't expect Deegan to struggle that bad throughout the entire day. It started with that practice crash, and that kind of just changed his whole day.
I kind of feel like there's maybe a little bit more going on than just that bone bruise. you know? Or I mean, like I'm curious to see pictures if they post pictures. Like, he seems like a pretty tough kid. I mean, like a really tough kid, and I have a feeling that there's maybe more going on, or like his entire leg is gonna be black and blue, like really bad, you know? I don't know if they'll post pictures, but I bet it's pretty bad. And yeah, he rode kind of terrible all day, but I mean, if he can't hold on with his legs, there's no real surprise. And if a terrible is still getting, what do you get, like 5th or 7th or something? Yeah, I mean, again, if a terrible day is 5th overall, I mean, like he could have DNF'd both motos and I still think he'll win the chip, right? Like he could have just sat both races out. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it was total one-off. Obviously, he's hurt and he rode terrible because he can't hold on with his legs. Makes a ton of sense. Yeah, no surprise that he crashed that many times either, especially if he can't squeeze with his legs. He's just going to tip over constantly. But yeah, I don't really think it's that big a deal.
And yeah, and I think there's, for Moto 1 specifically, I think it was a combination of different things, right? Like you say, can't hold on with his legs, probably caused both crashes. But I think the second crash, the one down the hill, the leg issue, but I also think it was the motor, all right? Because Yamaha, all day long, they had horrible motor issues. I mean, multiple star guys, Webb's bike didn't finish, Tomac's bike didn't finish, Shock's bike didn't, his bike blew up second moto after pulling whole shot.
Did?
Yeah, so that's why he didn't even finish the moto.
Interesting, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe there's a couple other guys too. Valentin Giot, his motor also blew up, his Yamaha. Obviously, that's a privateer issue, Rock River, but still to Yamaha. But going back, Deegan, we saw that bike smoking just like Tomac's, and we're like, and I thought, damn, that bike's gonna blow up, right? And I think that was a combination of things of why he crashed the second time. Because one, the leg, but two, he's like, oh my gosh, this motor. And then he probably got a little unfocused going down the hill. He cross-rutted and tipped over, right? And then the rest of that race, it was just saving the motor to finish the race. He got 14th, which, like I said, it's a combination of things. And then the second moto, I don't think anybody realistically thought he was going to win that after what happened in Moto 1, right? And his leg injury. But him going from, I think it was like 5th or 6th start up to 2nd, very impressive. Championship saving ride, right? In quotations, just because you never know what can happen with the champ. Yeah, that's my point. Like he has, I think it was 38 now, but yeah, still very impressive for Deegan. You got to give him his props. And I hope it's just a bone bruise or a Charlie horse. We don't want to see an ACL injury. We don't want to see a broken tib fib. Like we don't want to see any of that, because what happened with Tomac, right? He broke his tib fib. He was out for 6-8 weeks, right? And yeah, hopefully he's fine. We don't know, like you said. Hopefully we see like some footage, maybe some pictures. We probably will never see that, but I expect him to be completely back at Millville and winning motos.
I think that that crash going down the hill was, like you said, I do think it was a combination of things. I think he was frustrated, you know, crashed once already, was hurt, was frustrated. He's buried, doesn't know what's going, like doesn't know the guys back there at all, you know, like riding with people he hasn't ridden with all year. Doesn't belong back there, pushing too hard, but can't hold on. Again, I don't know. I think I wouldn't read into it too much. I saw a bunch of people commenting like, yeah, you know, Deegan, terrible. Dude, like, he's going to go 1-1 next week. You know what I mean? Like,
Mikel Hara brought up a good point. He was like, this track reminded me a lot of GPs because you couldn't push, right? Normal USA tracks, like normal pro moto tracks, you can push. You can go to different lines. You can push intensity. RedBud this year, so many ruts going all the way across this, like straightaway, all the way across the track. And you have to be very, very smart with line choice. You can't override the track, because then what happened with Deegan? He was trying to override and he crashed multiple times, right? Even before the finish, he crashed too in Moto 2 and came back. So I don't think those tracks help Deegan a little bit. You know what I mean?
I saw someone on Facebook comment that when is the time to start thinking it's a conspiracy that, you know, Honda's president was there. Hey,
it's a Honda sponsor a Honda sponsor event.
I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. I don't think that's crazy, but also
think about it.
You know.
What was your biggest surprise from RedBud for the 250 class?
For the 250 class, I mean, honestly, I think it was Haiden and how he let the frustration get to him, like the immaturity of crashing. I mean, because that's really, like I said earlier, what I really saw when he crashed down that hill. Like even the first crash where he tucked the front in Moto 1, whatever, like that happens. But that second crash showed a lot of just, again, I don't know. I felt like it was immaturity and like letting it all kind of get to him and not being focused. And I'm surprised because he has been so mature throughout the rest of the year. And I really feel like if he would have just kind of chilled and just rode, he would have got 5th, right? Or whatever. And that was really surprising. But on a positive note, I mean, you know, and I might use this for my best ride as well, but I mean, we got to go Jalik, right? Like,
Yeah.
Jalik was ripping, right?
Dude,
I mean,
he was so good. Yeah, Jalik got second overall, which, hey, hot take for me, he can win. I mean, I was one spot off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he rode really, really good. And it's crazy. Like the thing that surprised me was like being off for so long and then coming back and having the fitness to run up there. It's really impressive.
My biggest surprise, actually 2 riders here, was Joe and Levi. I think personally we finally got both of them on their A game, all right? Especially Joe going 1-1. And I actually feel that Levi would have gone 2-1 and like that second moto. Levi was so quick that first lap. And I was like, bro, he's going to the lead. And then he spun out. And then it was just downhill from him. I think he crashed again later in that moto. We didn't see it, but he went back into the pits a few laps later. And I don't think that was from the spin out from after the finish line. I think it was completely different. But
Levi looked like Levi, you know, that kind of off the back, kind of, you know, going through the rollers. He's like rear wheel scrubbing everything. He looked real feisty, you know, like Levi does.
Yeah, it was just so awesome to watch that, because I finally feel now that, especially with Deegan, maybe with an injury, we'll have some Levi, Joe, and Deegan battles, right? Because now they're up there. Joe was missing for the last 3 weeks. He goes 1-1, the conspiracy event, you know, like Honda, like, don't get me wrong, but he was still ripping, bro. Like Moto 1, he put 20 seconds on. Wait, was it Moto 2 he put 20 seconds on? And Michael was riding great right behind him too, and then he just gapped him. I looked up at the timing score. I'm like, Joe had 10 seconds on Michael in 3 laps. I was like, what the hell? And I think you just got to give props to Joe. I got to give props to Levi. It sucks that Levi crashed in Moto 2, because I believe that Levi was just going to win that Moto straight up. But his ride in Moto 1 was what impressed me the most. He went from, I believe, 16th with 2 crashes on lap 1 to 2nd place. That was so impressive.
Yeah, he looked great, especially towards the end of the moto. So like fitness is there, you know, it was super hot that day. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. Like you said, I hope that Deegan's not hurt. But I also think that like, it doesn't even really matter if he's hurt. Like these guys feel like, you know, they've got a lot of confidence. I'm sure even though Levi's results aren't what he wanted them to be, there should be a lot of confidence from there, and Joe has a ton of confidence. So hopefully Joe backs it up and doesn't go like 9-12, you know, next week.
He gained a lot of points on Deegan that moto or that race, right? Now he's only 38 points back. And I mean, we still believe that Deegan most likely will wrap this chip up early. However, if Deegan has another one of those weird motos, weird events, and Joe goes 1-1, this is going to be a lot closer than what we think at the very end, in my opinion. Just shout to those boys, man. But what about your 450 biggest surprise?
Chase, really? I was pretty surprised with. I mean, to be honest, Moto 1, he looked pretty mid. Like, just, I mean, and that's kind of what I expected him just to be, you know, a little bit circulating. But obviously, he kind of had a pretty good finish, Moto 1. And then Moto 2, I mean, he looked like he didn't really skip a beat and was flying. I don't think he would have caught Jett, like, and got around Jett. I think, I don't really think he would have. It was absolutely hilarious that he tucked the front. I actually laughed out loud, but Just because it is not because I'm laughing at him, but it is so on brand. Like it is just like textbook, you know, like every single time. Anyway, but he looked great, and it's cool, you know, that there's someone else up there that's, you know, on that level. On a downside of I'm surprised because I'm sad. What are we like? What is Tomac doing? You know, I mean, I understand it wasn't really his fault. You know, his bike got cooked, and I do think, you know, he did look pretty good in that moto. But I'm so sad because, like, clearly Moto 2, there was no fight in him, right? And like, I'm worried that that's going to be the trend for the rest of the year. That there's just not going to be a lot of fight in Tomac anymore because the chip's over. Let's just be real, right? It's over. It's over. Okay, it's over. All right. It was over before, but it's really over now. You know what I mean? Like, it was over before we went into RedBud, but like, we're cooked now, boys. And I'm just sad, like, because I really want to watch them battle, and I just going up against Jett, like, has to be such a mental, like, you have to believe, you know, to get that extra speed, and I just don't see it happening, you know? I don't know, I'm sad.
Yeah, so for me, my surprise was Chase. Like you said, we kind of expected him to be kind of mid Moto 1. He did, though, ride pretty good. I believe in Moto 1 specifically, he had a horrible start. I think it was like top 15th or something like that, and made it all the way up to 5th. So like, he did really good. He started finding his flow halfway through the moto and then started clicking off some guys, but it was just too late by the end of the moto. But for Moto 2, his start was horrendous. Like, it was 20th or something like that. And then what really surprised me was his speed matching with Jett throughout the entire race. Right now, I'm not saying like they were the same exact lap times, but shout out to Moto Pivot. All right, he has this whole website that shows like laps and everybody. It's crazy. You guys got to go check it out. Not a sponsor post, but it's just fantastic data here. And it was Jett and Chase going back and forth lap times, like literally back and forth every other lap, and it was just so sick to see Chase have that speed coming back off the couch. Like, I know that he was dealing with some stuff that he didn't really get into, but it was like a physical and / mental thing. And just seeing that he can match Jett's speed first race back, like, that gives me hope that later this year, where he's really good on some of these tracks, like especially Washougal, that he can go out there and like beat Jett straight up. And we definitely saw a classic Chase moment. All right, get into second place and wash the front. We saw it. Like, I even posted about it today. Like, classic Chase. Like, it was just a perfect scenario for a Chase week. Like, just a perfect thing, right? But regardless of the crash, he was still riding so freaking good. And I believe he can actually win and beat Jett straight up by the end of the year. Give him a couple more rounds to get his flow. Maybe even Millville. So, like, if he gets a start, like, his speed second moto matching Jett, passing everybody that Jett passed the same lap or the next lap, like following suit, I thought was super impressive. Like, but you mentioned it, I don't think he was passing Jett. Like, let's be real, he was 4 seconds off with like 6 minutes to go, and I'm like, maybe. And then he tips the front, I'm like, not at all. And so
you just brought up that he passed everyone that Jett passed, I mean, within basically a lap. To be fair, he's the only dude that's been able to do that this year, right? Like, think about like Jett moving up, Tomac coming behind him, but then he always gets stuck. Other than maybe, I guess, Hunter has been able to do that. And like, low key, everyone hated on my prediction for AP to win. AP was slicing and dicing that first moto. But anyway, back to Chase. I don't think anyone's been able to move through the pack as quickly as Jett, and Chase just did it that second moto. So yeah, I mean, if he can stay off the flipping ground, and I mean, he looks great, like really good. I'm surprised, honestly. I'm really surprised how good he looks coming back in already Moto 2. I kind of expected him to be just really mid, and then Moto 2 or at Millville, he would do really well. And then from there on, just kind of improve. He did this a couple years ago, but I think this is a much better comeback than a couple years ago.
I'm going to go into letdowns here, and you brought him up, Tomac. That was my letdown for the 450 class, and it wasn't because he rode horrible, because in that first moto, he was slicing and dicing. He was getting up. I think he got into third, right? I think he passed AP into third, and then his bike gave out. So that has nothing to do with him, in my opinion. That, like, yes, he rides his bike hard, but he's been doing that for the last 4 years. So, like, it's not his fault that the bike blew up. So my letdown necessarily is just we didn't get to see that battle with Tomac, Chase, and Jett, which I personally believe that we would have had, especially in Moto 2, because if Tomac had a decent gate pick in Moto 2, he would have been right there, in my opinion. But I'm looking at the stats here. Tomac started 26 on Moto 1, dude. And that's not going to cut it. Yes, he made all the way up to 7th by the end of the moto. He got into 7th on lap 10 and then just stayed there. But as you mentioned, he probably just lost gas because he had to pass 19 people to get into 7th, which is a very impressive ride. Don't get me wrong. But if he was higher up, I think he would have passed the same amount of people as Chase and Jett and be 1, 2, 3.
I honestly think if that start happened, though, 2 weeks ago, I don't think he stops at 7th. Because the fight and the belief is still there. I really think that, like, it was one of those things, like, he's tired,
He had his motor blew up with like 15, 16 minutes left in Moto 1, and he had all that extra time to recover. So maybe he wasn't tired. Maybe he was just so far back he couldn't catch those guys.
I don't think he was tired. I don't think Tomac gets tired. I think it's like a more of a mental thing, right? Like, what a blow that first moto was, just to the whole vibe of the whole season. Just like, humans run on hope, right? Like that is just a thing. Like, we hope and we strive for what the things, we work for things that we hope for. And when the hope's gone, it's really hard to push, and I really feel like that's what we saw. That's why he stopped at 7th, was like, why try to kill myself? Why try to ride on the edge? They talk about the whole season, like a guy like Prado that should be winning. If he's not able to win, it's just like, I think we saw a lot of that with Tomac.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lap times for Tomac during that second moto, and it was not even close to what Jett or Chase was running. Like, Jett and Chase were running 207, 208s for lap 2. Like, literally lap 3, excuse me. Jett ran a 207, Chase ran 209, and then, like, every lap after that was 207, 209, 207 to 209 range. I'm looking at Tomac's lap. He had a 211. His best was a 210 one lap, and then it was just downhill after that. It was 213, 214, 216s. So I think you said he just lost that push to go after anybody else, right?
And what I'm worried about is that's gone for the rest of the season. And we're going to see a P7 and a P5 Tomac the rest of the year. Don't do that. I hate that. It's going to go one of two ways. It's going to go that way, or he's going to, like, pressure's gone. I just need to go win motos, whatever. And he's going to go win motos. I don't think that's going to happen.
And then also another letdown, not anything major though, is AP. Just, he has a sickness that he's dealing with. So it's not really like, we're just let down that he wasn't able to finish a race, right? Like, because he was going to be top 5.
That's why, dude, I'm let down because he looked so good in that first moto, right? Like, he wasn't losing toe to Hunter or Jett. Like, if anything, I think he was catching Hunter, who wasn't really losing Jett. Like, again, nobody's been able to run Jett down and just get around him. But, like, I think AP was right
AP
there.
Actually has Thunder Valley.
Oh, hey, right. Okay. So, I mean, my prediction of AP winning, I mean, obviously anyone beating Jett right now is like a stretch, but I mean, it looked possible that first moto, and he looked good. He looked racy. He wasn't losing toe to those guys, and those guys were sprinting at the beginning. Yeah, and then I heard he had a crazy fever in between the motos or whatever.
Yeah, that's what the broadcast said too. And it seems like it's just like an illness, a sickness that he's dealing with. He's going to get not necessarily tested, but kind of figure out what it is this week. That's what he said on IG today. So hopefully everything's okay and he's back at Millville. He's 100%. But yeah, kind of just a little letdown there. Going to 250s here. I have two. All right. My first one is Levi's second moto. I already talked about it. I think he could have won that race, right? We don't have to get into it anymore. But my second one was Tom Vial. Okay. And now for Tom, I have 2 points here. Okay. First off, first moto got into the lead. He had a 5-second gap on Joe, and then horrible. Like, just, he said it was line choice. And I don't, like, you drop back all the way down to third in Moto 1. Like, I know Levi and Joe were ripping, but you had the lead for a while there. So I'm disappointed in him kind of fading, I guess. And maybe it was just he hasn't rode in first place in a while, and maybe Joe was just catching him. Like, his lines were better, right? But kind of just let down in that aspect. And then my second one was second moto. He had a good start. Michael Mosiman took out his freaking wheel. He did a little somersault, front flip, back flip type deal. And obviously that was hit the rest of his day, right? But I'm just let down because we saw it could be Joe, Levi, Tommy V battling with Deegan finally. And then Tommy V just kind of faded, and then second moto happened. And then I think, though, on a positive side, it's going to be carried over to Millville, and I think he's going to do extremely well at Millville.
Yeah, I was surprised, I guess, too. You know, I mean, because once he put a little gap on everyone too. I thought that was just GG's first moto. I thought Tom's going to check out, do world champ things, and like, obviously not to take anything away from Joe, because he definitely just reeled him in, and Joe's so good at the end of the motos. But like, yeah, I don't know. I was surprised that he just kind of seemed like he rolled over too. He didn't really put much fight up when Joe was there. He seemed tired. And, you know, that's my thing. He seemed tired. They always say something else, but maybe they're a little tired. You know, it's okay to be.
All right, so moving on to best rides. Let's stay in the 250 class, and I have a couple here. I have a few actually. Obviously, it has to be one of Levi's moto. One of it has to be Levi's Moto 1. Like I said, like 16, 18, the second, impressive. My second was Jalik. You brought him up. He rode fantastic, man. 6'3" on the day, second place overall. Hot take, he can win a race, win a moto. I was freaking so close. Okay, and then I have two more. Parker Ross, privateer guy, amateur kid, or not amateur, rookie year, I guess you would say. 8th place overall, 11-10 on the day. Fantastic ride. And then my last one was Michael Mosiman. Gotta give him some love. 4-4 on the day, going 3rd place overall. Like, awesome, awesome day by all of those guys. And then also, I'm not even including Mikkel Harup. Like, he needs to stay. I've said this multiple times now. That guy is so freaking good. And 4th place for him.
I would bet they didn't expect the season to go this good. I would bet we're staying. You know, like, I don't know how, like, hey, man, you want to race? And then he's doing as good as he's doing. And then they're like, yeah, see you later, you know, and send him back. Like, I can't see that happening. You know, I agree. Like, but he needs to stay. I think this is the worst he will ever be.
That's what I'm saying, so, dude. He's learning all these tracks. He's getting top 5s in this class already. Next year, he's going to be a title contender, bro. Like, literally. So
totally
him with Jalik are like my dark horses, bro.
I know. It's crazy. Like, that Triumph team's, you know, no disrespect to Jalik or, you know, Harrop, but like, going into 25, nobody's talking about them. We were talking about freaking Austin Faulkner,
you
know, and Jordan Smith. Which, hey,
Stick
Jordan,
drift.
buddy had stick drift, you know, like, oh no, like, that was crazy. But I mean, it's cool. I love stories like that where, like, you know, teams have underdogs and then they outperform the, you know, the guys. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they keep him. They should.
They really should. They really, really should. Also, big shout out to Ryder D. Top quality on the day. That was very impressive by Ryder D, bro. Okay, then 450 best rides, at least for me. There's a few on here, but I think we talked about this last week. We said we can't really give the guy that wins. I think
unless
we
it's
can.
Spectacular.
Yeah, I think we can.
Unless it's spectacular, and I think this counts. So Jett, yeah, for sure.
It has to be Jett, 18th to 1st. I want to give a couple guys though. Ben Patrol, 11th. Harry Koulas, as you mentioned, 10th place overall. You also shout to Ducati, 14th with Antonio Caroli. He should have got top 10. My prediction was should have been right. And then RJ, 4th place. RJ's coming to his own, bro.
RJ's, that was a sneaky one too. He looked really good.
He looked very, very good. I said this on stream. I was going to put this in a video, but I'm not right now. But next year outdoors, podium contender?
I was just going to say, I think next year outdoors, you got to look at RJ as like a potential.
Yeah, that's what I don't know about wins, right? Because we're going to have Chase, Jett, and Deegan,
I think I know about wins.
Bro, RJ podium contender every weekend. It's going to be interesting. So,
yep.
Big shout out to RJ, man. He rode fantastic on the day. And honestly, a lot of people rode great. And we don't have enough time to go through this whole entire list because we can give props to every single person on here because that track was crazy. All right. But if we didn't give you guys props, just know that you guys rode fantastic. Well, let's hop into some questions from you guys. All right. But before we get into all these questions from you guys, I have one question for Doc. All right. And my question is should we shorten the series, maybe supercross, by 4 to 6 rounds and give the riders 6 extra weeks, whether that's 3 weeks in between supercross and moto, or that is 3 weeks and 3 weeks at the end of the season, right? And I talked about this on Twitter, going a little bit back and forth with everybody. And 6 weeks is a lot. I get it. However, everybody's sick, man. Like, what could help with people not being so sick? And you hear it on every single interview. We have this illness that I'm dealing with, this immune system that I'm dealing with. Like, they're pushing their bodies to the freaking max every single weekend, every time they're training. And it's wearing them down for 31 races, basically in a row. How do we change that to help them? And my suggestion was shorten supercross, give a little bit more break before moto, and then add more at the off season. Because even generally speaking, professional sports, football, basketball, hockey, like baseball, they have 4 to 5 months before a season starts. Are they training every day? Yes. But they're also training at home. They can recover so much better because they're not traveling every weekend. They're not traveling every day. They have chartered planes. Like, I think we need to shorten it. Or I came up with an idea. Why don't teams come together and purchase a private plane, not even purchase, rent out a private plane every weekend where the guys are hubbed at, right? So you have one in Cali, you have one in North Carolina, then you have one in Florida. And then all those teams combined, all the riders go on that, so you get away from the public, you save your health there. Like, what is your thoughts? I know that's a lot, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, definitely think there should be a bigger break between Soupy going into outdoors. It's insane that they just like, cool, championship. All right, we're racing Paula. I feel like if there was a bigger break, outdoors would mean more because people would be more prepared, first of all. Like the guys that win the Supercross championships usually come into outdoors like not as prepared as the guy that got 10th, right? Because they've been pushing Soupy the whole time. And I think that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. However, I do think that like this is the kind of sport that if we give, the more time we give, they're just going to boot camp longer, right? Like, I don't really see any of them taking time off, however, the traveling is the thing.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But like when they're not traveling and they're boot camping, they're at home and then they can recover, right? They can recover quicker because they're not going anywhere. They're at home. Yes, they're training just like other professional sports, but they're at home. They're not traveling. They can do everything at their house. And I think that is beneficial compared to, as you say, only a week off in between Soupy and Moto. We only have a week off in between. I don't even think we have a week off in between playoffs. I think they just go straight to the playoffs. Maybe there's a week off, but there's not enough time for guys to recover, and you hear it all season long. I have an illness. I have an immune system thing. I have something going on. Like Chase took a break because he's been dealing with stuff mentally, physically for 18 weeks in a row and couldn't take any time off to get it right. And I think that break would help him. Now, there's obviously scenarios where this would hurt the sport in a way, like the TV deals. But I think that if you shorten it, you're going to have the best product on television every single time, right? Because now the guys are healthier.
I don't watch other sports because they're stupid. But like, does like, I don't know that like basketball guys, football guys, are they flying?
It's all private. Every
okay.
basketball, every football, And now what WNBA is doing, I believe NHL, they all have team planes. They rent
I mean,
it
I
or they
feel
have
like
their own.
that's the biggest thing. I mean, anytime I go anywhere, even if I fly like an hour, I'm getting sick. Right? There's like 10 billion snotty people that touch everything, don't wash their hands, sneeze, whatever, and then you're just in a plane that just recycles the air. Like, you're gonna get sick, right? And that's the biggest thing that I take away is like, dude, this is like the only high level sport that I've ever seen where we're just like getting on a plane, getting on old Southwest, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, what if teams came together? Because there's hubs, right? North Carolina, Florida, and then Cali. Like, you don't see really guy or Texas. Like, I don't even think anybody trains in Texas besides maybe Masterpool, right? But Cali, right? Everybody in Cali, which not really any like top guys train in Cali that much anymore, right? But then you have Florida, North Carolina. You have a hub in there. You have teams purchasing a private for all those guys there. A guy here, a guy like. I think it would help.
I can't believe that the teams, the factory teams, obviously, you know, the mid-tier times, the private tier teams, you're good. My bad.
Well, not
You're
even.
good.
Like, if they're training, they can use that as well.
No, I don't know. I'm surprised that like the factory teams don't have jets. They're not, I mean, obviously they're insanely expensive, but like I feel like what you would get out of it and tax write-off, brother. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know.
I don't know.
So, yeah, in
It's
the
crazy,
comment
but-
section below, let us know what you guys think about what I propose, what Doc's proposing. Like, just let us know your guys' thoughts on that situation. Okay, so let's hop into some of these questions now. By Carter, should Sexton get a Team USA spot based on previous year's riding? I think there's two answers here. One, after that performance, yes. But second, other guys have been riding so good as of late, so I think they have the opportunity first before Sexton gets picked.
I think unless Sexton went out and like won the rest of the year, where it was like, hey, like we don't pick Sexton, you know, like he's the obvious choice. I do think he will beat some of the other guys. Like I think he'll consistently beat J. Coop. He'll beat AP. He'll probably beat Tomac. But like, I don't know. I feel like he chose to sit out. The other guys didn't. I feel like the opportunity's got to go there, right? You know, I mean, I think it's just fair to the other guys to at least offer it to them. I don't know. I mean, obviously he rode great, and if he continues the rest of the season and, you know, rides that good, then it's a good choice. But if I was in charge of the team, I would have a hard time being like, sorry, J. Coop, I'm not going to pick you because I'm going to pick Sexton, even though you were consistent the whole year, Supercross, outdoors.
Yeah, so it's a yes and no,
But
I think.
Chase was barking. So
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Hey, Tomac, Chase, Deegs,
that wins.
that's a pretty goated team. I still think an AP, Deegs, Tomac team is really good. I still think a J. Coop, Tomac, Deegs team is really good.
Yeah. I think any team we put out this year is actually going to be really good, regardless.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay, so shout out to Chris here. He said, can Deegan be consistent enough to beat Jett over a season? I think second, third year in 450s, he'll be consistent enough, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
I stand on he mirrors Ryan Villapoto to me. And Ryan was a psychopath on a 450. Right out of the gate.
I think it's going to take a year, at least a year, and then he'll be consistent enough. And yeah, I think just at least a year.
I would like to go back and be a fly on the wall and see what people were saying about Villapoto back then, because I feel like it would probably be the same exact thing.
Yeah, possibly. A cool person at 912675. Shout out to you. What do you think caused Deegs to struggle? I think it was just a knee injury or the leg injury. I think if he didn't have that at all, he was going to be barking this at RedBud, in my opinion. TS Well said, how do you fix stick drift for Jordan Smith? I don't know. Because as Davey said, it's a plane. Nope. It's Jordan Smith just flying out of a random. He did mention that part of the track was like super freaking hard packed. So the paddle tire just hooked up and then he just went sideways. But that was a crazy crash.
Hall effect joysticks.
Dude, that was crazy. I can't believe that crash happened, man. That was gnarly. Skeptor, he says, do you think Chase will be the one to end Jett's perfect season?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Looks like it. I mean, it looks like if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be old Tuck to front.
It's gonna be Millville. Chase going 1-1, guarantee it. Stamp it, mark it down. Shout out to Jordan on this one. How do we feel about Ducati being top 5 into the first turn on a stock engine? I think that's very impressive, and I think that showed a lot of the guys like, hey, maybe I go Ducati next year. You know, look at that bike; it's stock.
I'm a little torn on Ducati. Tony rode really good. The bike, like, I didn't see anything official on this, but did the bike crap out Moto 2?
I heard it was a little electrical problem that he tried to change like the ECU mapping, and it just didn't. It failed him.
Okay, well that's better than like an engine going or something.
I don't think it was. I think it was an electrical thing.
All right, well that's better. Also, not super great because don't want that happening to the public. But I mean, I think overall, it was a really good showing from Ducati. Tony rode great, like a little bit better than I thought he was gonna do. Showed some fight. Bike looked good. I was trying to watch whenever they'd show him to see, you know, if the bike looked terrible. It looked good.
It looked good.
You know, yeah. I mean, I don't know, kind of hard to see. It's hard to see if a bike's doing good unless you're like Tomac at Hangtown. Then you can like literally see, like, wow, that bike's terrible. But
yeah, and he was gonna be at Millville too, so hopefully we get a little bit more TV time and see what he can do at Millville with that's like weird looking start.
That's a good track to test things too.
Yeah, up the hills, down the hills. I mean, it's gonna be gnarly. The sand rollers, everything. So I think personally it was very impressive, and I think it showed the whole field like, hey, this Ducati is going to be a problem next year, the year after. Yeah. So, Haiden, he says, is Chase going to win an overall this season? I believe he can. I think he can. Jett might go 11-0 though.
So, no. I'm gonna go no.
Tim, he says, what do you think had Haiden struggling all day? Bike setup, leg bruise, or just an off day? I think it was leg bruise, and then it just caused everything else. Also, the motor probably in Moto 1 after you heard like had that issue, right? But I think it was mostly that leg injury.
Don't trip on it though. He's going 1-1 next week.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much unless we see him struggle again. Then we might have an issue, but I don't think we'd see that. And then the last one I have here is Luke. He says, what was up with the Star bikes? I have no idea. So Webb's bike crashed out, Tomac's bike crashed out, Shock's bike, Geode's bike, Deegan's bike was gonna blow 100% if he didn't back it down. I believe there was a couple other guys too at that specific race that had the bike problems. And then going back to even prior events, you know, you had Webb at Paula, Bozeman twice now, one at Southwick, one at Thunder Valley. You had Hayden's bike at Thunder Valley. So just in general, a lot of the Yamahas not great motor wise this year. I don't know if that's just them pushing, but then like a Shock bike blowing up, like you don't, like, or a Geode bike blowing up, like you don't really see that. So very interesting, something to keep an eye out going forward.
It's like, this is like the most amount of bikes I've ever seen go out in a season.
Especially for Star.
Like, no, I just mean in general, like any bike manufacturers, like you don't really see this many bikes going out in a season, let alone them all being Yamis.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's just, it's Star. You don't see that from Star, right? So very interesting. I want to keep an eye out on it. Yeah, dude, he's got to be so upset. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out and see if any more motors blow up for the rest of the year. I mean, we still have, that was only race, what, 6? So we have 5 more races to go. So keep an eye out for all that. But yeah, those are all the questions that we had from you guys. We appreciate you guys dropping those questions. I love talking about it. So, but for this week, it's going to be a little change. We have our predictions still on Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
But no everything moto on Friday, and I'm going to be at Millville on Saturday. So, no watch party on Saturday. Possibly, I might be able to do something, but I'm still working that out. But I'll keep you guys posted in Discord and Instagram, and just be on the lookout for all of that. But I'm going to try my best to get some footage from press day, and obviously on Saturday we'll get our footage out. So I'm going to try my best to do all that for you guys. But yeah, so going to be a very, very busy week. And then next week, potentially the review might be a day late just because of traveling. So just keep an eye on all of that. But we appreciate you guys for showing out this weekend with everything that we freaking posted. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you guys. Hit that like and sub button, and we'll be back with our predictions here in a couple days. So much love, guys. We're out. Peace.
Later.